The sky burned green the night America stopped breathing. Sirens screamed across every city, then went silent forever. Ethan Walker was alone in a military bunker beneath the Colorado mountains when the emergency broadcast cut out mid-sentence, replaced by a sound like something chewing metal. Days earlier, the government had promised safety. Now the world above was gone. Through an old radio, Ethan heard the last message from Lena, his girlfriend, her voice shaking as she whispered that San Francisco was falling and the ground itself was moving. Then nothing. Weeks passed. Monsters crawled out of places humans were never meant to see, twisting highways into hunting grounds. Ethan survived by counting oxygen tanks and memories of Lena's laugh. One night, static cracked through the radio, and a single word slipped through the noise: Ethan. It wasn't clear, but it was her voice. Fear told him to stay underground. Love told him the world had already ended, so there was nothing left to lose. He packed his bag, loaded one bullet he'd been saving, and climbed toward the surface. As the bunker door opened, the smell of blood and burned earth rushed in. Something massive moved in the darkness, waiting. America had fallen, but Ethan stepped into the nightmare anyway. The road was silent, and silence was worse than screams. Ethan learned that quickly as he walked the shattered highway, cars frozen mid-escape, doors still open like people had vanished mid-breath. Every sound mattered now. Wind could mean death. He discovered that when the crawler wolves found him, things with too many joints and no eyes, hunting by vibration. He froze, heart pounding so hard he thought it would give him away. A flare exploded nearby, drawing the creatures away, and a woman dragged him behind a truck. Her name was Maya, a former army medic who smelled of smoke and antiseptic. She told him the monsters weren't random. They were adapting. Learning routes, learning fear. That night, they camped beneath an overpass, sharing canned food and broken truths. As darkness thickened, a voice drifted through the ruins, crying for help in a perfect human tone. Maya covered Ethan's mouth before he could answer. The voice repeated his name, slowly, lovingly. Something out there had learned how to sound like Lena. Whatever had destroyed America wasn't just hunting bodies anymore. It was hunting hearts. The town looked untouched, and that was the first lie. Lights flickered in windows, doors stood open, and handwritten signs promised safety. Hunger and hope pushed Ethan forward while Maya hesitated. The moment they stepped inside, the ground pulsed like a living thing. Walls breathed. Floors shifted under their feet. People lived here, or what was left of them. At night, the town fed. The buildings tightened, swallowing anyone asleep inside. Ethan woke to screams muffled by concrete as a house folded inward like a closing mouth. They ran through streets that twisted behind them, the town trying to keep its meal. Outside the perimeter, the ground went still, as if disappointed. Shaking, Ethan realized the monsters weren't only creatures anymore. They were environments. America itself had turned hostile. As dawn rose, Maya revealed something worse. She'd seen files that hinted the monsters were built using human DNA. Pieces of people were inside everything now. That meant somewhere Lena could be alive, or something wearing her memories. The thought terrified Ethan more than death. Before the world ended, love was simple. Coffee dates, bad jokes, plans that assumed tomorrow existed. Ethan remembered Lena's voice teasing him for overthinking everything. In the present, every step toward her felt like a countdown. At a survivor camp in Utah, whispers spread of a woman matching Lena's description, taken months earlier by a group who believed monsters were divine. The cult didn't fear the creatures, they worshipped them. Ethan's hope turned sharp and painful. Maya warned him that people who survived this long weren't sane anymore. That night, monsters circled the camp, drawn by firelight and human warmth. Ethan helped defend the walls, killing something that once might have been a man. He didn't feel relief, only guilt. When the attack ended, he stared at the blood on his hands and wondered if Lena would still recognize him. Or worse, if she'd already chosen the monsters over humanity. Love, in this world, wasn't safe. It was a weakness, and Ethan carried it anyway. The stadium rose from the desert like a grave, its seats filled with bones instead of fans. Inside, candles burned as the cult sang to the creatures chained beneath the field. Ethan found Lena standing among them, alive, breathing, but different. Her eyes held fear and conviction at the same time. She told him some monsters remembered who they were, that they felt pain. Proof came when a massive creature approached her and stopped, trembling at her touch. She whispered its name, and it cried. The cult called it holy. Ethan saw it as tragedy. When an alpha beast broke free, tearing through worshippers, chaos exploded. Ethan aimed his gun, finger shaking. Lena stepped between him and the monster. For one moment, the world held its breath. Ethan lowered the weapon. They escaped together as the stadium collapsed behind them. Love reunited. But nothing about it was simple anymore. Truth is the most dangerous monster. Maya hacked into an old military satellite uplink and showed them classified footage. Experiments meant to create super soldiers had fused human consciousness with engineered organisms. When containment failed, America paid the price. The worst revelation came last. The government planned to erase everything. Survivors included. Bombs were already armed. Lena proved the monsters could choose by calming a creature that carried fragments of her brother's memories. It wept. Ethan understood then. The line between human and monster was already gone. The question wasn't who deserved to live, but who would choose compassion. As jets roared in the distance, Ethan made a decision that would mark him forever. The broadcast tower stood like a skeleton against the sky. Ethan climbed it while monsters fought soldiers below, creatures defending humans, humans firing anyway. He transmitted the truth across every remaining frequency, exposing the lie before the bombs could fall. Missiles launched anyway. Lena ran toward the alpha beast, placing herself between it and the last safe zone. It roared, then turned its body toward the blast, shielding the people. The explosion lit the horizon. Ethan was thrown from the tower as the signal cut. Darkness swallowed him, along with the sound of a world deciding what it wanted to be. When Ethan woke, the sky was quiet. Smoke drifted where cities once stood, but people were alive. Monsters stood among them, not as rulers, not as pets, but as survivors. The bombing had stopped halfway. Enough truth had gotten out. Lena found Ethan beneath the tower, holding him as the sun rose over a broken America. Nothing was fixed, nothing was normal, but love had survived something it was never meant to. As they crossed a ruined bridge together, monsters watching from the shadows, Ethan realized the horror wasn't the end of the world. It was what humans had been willing to do to avoid admitting their mistakes. The future was uncertain, terrifying, and fragile. But for the first time since the fall, it was still possible.